Some crazy whales are moving massive amounts of crypto again. I mean, seriously, take a look at this. Another 100,000 Ethereum, $188 million was just transferred to an exchange, specifically Kraken, which makes it crazier. Right now, we're in talks of massive changes to the crypto ecosystem because of stablecoin legislation and what that would do for the dollar. I have some cool, very interesting thoughts on this because it's also vice versa. What the dollar does for our crypto ecosystem, because people are not used to other sort of stablecoins, but the more that the dollar just goes down, the more interesting that's going to become. Over in Hong Kong, they're apparently going to release a crypto and Bitcoin framework over in May, which is extremely bullish and just juicy. I'm actually very surprised they're this fast with all that. I thought they'd be a lot slower, but I'm very happily surprised. Also, a little fun thing over in Bloomberg. They're speculating CZ, who is the CEO of Binance, the biggest crypto exchange. They're estimating his wealth. They're estimating a lot of different things. And he says the number's all wrong. I don't have anywhere near as much. Don't know why they do this. Also, never viewed FTX as a rival. We welcome more well-run exchanges in the space. Now, I'm going to call our man CZ out right there because obviously it's your rival, right? You can't call it a partner if they're literally taking your money away from you and putting it into their own pocket and you're fighting over the same customer. I call that like the literal definition of a rival, but it's not a bad thing to have rivals, I'd say. And another fun thing to make you guys laugh here for a second. You know our man Jim Cramer, right? You know our man, you know our guy. Look at what he said yet again. So much I disagree with market on this one. So he's not so happy with the way the market is going, and Whale Wire said, tell us what you disagree with so we can agree with it to hopefully make a little bit of money, because our man has set us up for failure multiple times. You know, we want to do the inverse Kramer. And again, before we get into XRP stuff, I'm just so excited about much stuff. I want to share it all. That's why I'm going through it real quick. But if you guys haven't done that yet, make sure you press that like button because let's go. All right, that's all I'm saying. Let's freaking go. Coincidence. Bitcoin developer visited the CIA and then Satoshi Nakamoto disappeared. That is interesting to say the least. That is peculiar to say the least. Indeed, that's 12 years ago, Gavin Anderson, a former lead Bitcoin developer, announced to the crypto community at the Bitcoin Talk forum he was going to visit the headquarters of the US CIA, which coincided with the disappearance of the Bitcoin founder Satoshi Nakamoto. Which again is pretty funny that is quite coincidental. Satoshi went away somewhere around there in 2011, and exactly 12 years ago today, our man Andreessen, decided to give a speech for the CIA. It's just a coincidence, right? Or is it? And a little side note, again, just before I talk about Ripple, this is also interesting. So if you guys know in the crypto space, you often have auditors. So if you have a project, you need to get a company to make sure the code is done properly so there's no like vulnerabilities. It's called an auditor. And usually, if the project is audited, they give the thumbs up and things don't necessarily go as wrong if they're properly audited, because that's what the firms specialize in. So right here, there was actually a mistake. These guys audited it, they looked through everything, they thought it was safe, but it wasn't. But now the security firm vows refunds for victims of the Merlin Dex scam after auditing code. So basically, the guys that audit, they don't necessarily have to make a mistake in their coding that was actually there, but they could make a mistake in either checking that the guys are real and checking all those details, because, you know, the moment that a company like Certic connects themselves with guys like Merlin, who now went for an exit scam, it gets quite a lot of legitimacy. So Certic, who's got tons of money, so don't worry about it in that sense. A smart contract audit firm plans to compensate victims of this week's exit scam involving their former client Merlin. The Merlin scam resulted in the theft of nearly $2 million from the developers of smart contract that Certic had audited. Yeah, and it's interesting that it happened just a couple of days after Certic checked all the code out to properly audit Merlin, and then right after they exit scammed, they rug pulled, which is interesting. The most interesting part about it, though, is the fact that they're actually given a $400,000 bounty to find this $2 million. And that's, again, what I've been saying for years, that for these major hacks, these major type of pools and whatever, you have to give at least 10% worth of compensation to make it interesting for these people to return the hacked money or to really involve themselves with it instead of just like keeping money, if you guys get my drift. Ripple versus Akinov. The Ripple lawsuit. Hey! The hearing. A lot of you guys tuned in yesterday, I think about 1,000 people, but unfortunately my stream was not good enough. I sat here for a good hot minute listening to it on the phone. Again, for all of you that do not know, it was Ripple versus Akinov, a lawsuit where they the guys at Zakhanov, basically, they claim that XRP is a security. He bought $300,000 worth of the coin and then sold for, I think, 180,000 or 110,000. I don't remember. So he lost about 100,000 bucks. And so that was 2018. He's now trying to claim damages for that, basically, in a class action form. So anybody that has ever lost money with XRP basically also is in on this. And when the phone, picked up, when it all started over on Zoom, they basically were like setting a basis. And one of the most interesting parts of it all, to me at least, was what the judge was asking, like exactly when it started, which was mostly about two things. One is all the XRP holders, the 75,000 people, she acknowledged them, that are like watching this, that are in on this, like looking at it, which was peculiar. She kind of asked what side the 75,000 XRP holders were on. Because obviously they're not on the side of the guy that represents or tries to represent XRP holders here. But most importantly, she was, in a very interesting manner, trying to question exactly the legal basis for cryptos or for XRP or for like what Gary Gensler has said recently, because she said there's not really as much to work with here because there's no real cases that have gotten that far that can help her with her decision. And she also said she's not really into it too much, which again, I fully understand. And that's one of the problems with this cryptocurrency space. For the most part, for these judges, right, there's two negative sides. One, they don't know. And second of all, most of them, not all, but most judges are pretty freaking old, all right? I'm not trying to throw any shade on them, except for the fact that the older you are, the less likely you are to be a big fan of crypto, because two things. One, again, the older you get, the more risk averse you get, and cryptocurrencies are quite damn risky. And second of all, because it's the same thing about saying the older you are, the probability, is pretty high that you're worse with computers than younger people on average. Anyway, the guy just held XRP for about 2 weeks, right? And the thing is, it seems as if the lawyer from the attacker, I don't know how you say it. Let's just call it attacker and defender, right? Because I don't know the legal jargon. It seemed like the lawyer from the attacker side didn't fully understand either what the frick he was talking about. He's like, well, yeah, the legal, Gary Gensler said, but he couldn't really fully get it. And then the judge kept asking questions about, the cryptocurrency jargon, the cryptocurrency background, all that type of stuff. And the lawyer from the attacking side, so from Zakhanov's side, they didn't really know how to answer the things properly. And like John Dean said, it was quite frustrating to watch because he is an amicus curiae. He's basically joining, or at least he filed to join into the lawsuit to give his opinion, because he obviously represents thousands of XRP holders, 75,000 of them. So he wants to give his 2 cents to help the court out. But he was not allowed to speak or ask questions or address the court. He was in there though. I've never been so frustrated in my legal career watching this Zoom hearing, mainly because I can't speak and address the questions and issues being asked by the judge. The problem is, no one understands the tech. Remarkably, the judge stated during the hearing that she had even attended a seminar on crypto before this hearing and came out just as confused as she was before hearing. Accordingly, the hearing can be described as a very tedious and lacking in clarity. And again, it was so frustrating to read into this and actually listen to this. So on the phone as well, I was just cringing the whole time. Like the moment I picked it up, I was like, okay, this is kind of slow because I like to talk fast, I like to hear fast, etc. So it always goes kind of slow, but the questions were so stupid. And it just kind of shows how far the judge in the Ripple versus SEC case is, the fact that she understands all the jargon, she understands all these parts. I gotta give her a little 2 claps for that because she's actually pretty advanced and she put the work in to understand all this stuff. In the Ripple versus Zakhanov case, it was too bad. I'm telling you guys, you do not want to ever join a hearing of that sort again. It was, let's not say that, it was really stupid. What it was is, so they basically were trying to establish a basis of who are the 75,000 XRP holders, right? Whose side are they on? Why should they be in the lawsuit? Or why should they not be in this class action? And the lawyers over from the side of Zakhanov, one guy, Nick, I don't know what his name was anymore, it doesn't matter. He basically said, well, those guys, they don't really matter in this regard, and they should not actually be included. He was basically trying to assert that it was a small thing, but he's trying to assert that they don't belong in there because they're kind of like fake and and it's only about the people that are in the class action, kind of like showing really that they lost money or really that they, are just on his side. It's just biased and it makes sense. And then a little bit after, he started talking about how they came to damage calculations, which is just a very logical, you buy at this price, you sell at this price, or you're holding it now, you lost this much money, okay, boom. There was really an argument about that as far as I remember, which is all mostly just like, the whole 75,000 XP holders thing is the most important and crucial part, but it's hard to explain in simple terms because they're trying to establish a basis of why should they be in, why should they be out, how are they fake, and the guys from Ripple try to disprove it, explaining that they're real and that they support Ripple and do not want to be part of the XRP holders that are, the actual attackers in this case. And that's why, because it's like a debate over, is it a class action if the majority of the class that you're representing basically does not agree with what you're doing? So who exactly are you filing the suit for then if the people that you're filing it for don't agree with you? And then you're filing it on the basis that XRP is a security, but then Ripple came in to really just spit all the facts as to why XRP is not a security. But again, this judge will probably have to wait for the Ripple versus SEC case to finish because she doesn't know enough about crypto to determine anything. Then it was a little bit more about the fact that the guy just bought and sold crypto, not relying on Ripple, especially when he was buying and the way he was trying to trade the crypto. Then again, the guys over the Zakanoff here were trying to say, well, but Ripple, your marketing was important, the way you were talking about things, not the fact that it should have been an actual contract for an investment contract. And so the most important end was, is Zakhanov qualified basically to act as the lead for a class action? Again, if there's 16 guys and they're trying to say, hey, we are the XRP holders, but then 75,000 say, well, we don't want to associate with you. We don't agree with anything that you're saying right there. It doesn't make sense. You don't represent us. You represent your own little club of people that have opted in. Who exactly should then be the leader of this class action, so to speak? And what gives him the right to say all this and try all this? That's that type of stuff. A little piece I did not actually pick up on the call itself. It says here, nevertheless, Judge Phyllis replied that she is skeptical of the worldwide class action and explained there's no precedent. And one thing I also didn't fully understand during the call, but I see it now, is that they're trying to say a contract was not needed because of some other cases that have actually taken place in the past. Yeah, it was quite interesting. It's not that important except for the fact that this guy, he's trying to claim that XP is security and trying to basically screw all the XP holders over while claiming it's for the best interest of XRP holders. On the contrary, if he does end up winning, people that lost money in XRP can get it back, right? Or at least Ripple has to pay some or something along those lines. So from a certain perspective, he's trying to do a lot of y'all a favor that have lost money with XRP. But the opposite side is, if you're an XRP long-term holder, well, he's kind of screwing you over because probably the price would go up way more if you're just holding on for a little while than if you take your losses, so to speak, and get the money back, whatever you lost. Because again, it's a relative thing. But yeah. One more thing I'll quickly say is there was an interesting little fake Zelensky Jerome Powell call. So Jerome Powell was there. He thought he was talking with Zelensky, but it was two Russian pranksters or hackers. But I guess you call them pranksters. Again, all the news articles are saying pranksters trick fed Powell into believing he is Zelensky from Ukraine. Could be a little bit older though. I'm not sure exactly what the date on all this is. When the actual call took place. I didn't check the actual call out itself. Little piece is interesting. The SEC and the big banks are one big thing. Everyone knows. And actually this whole topic of Circle here and the fact that stablecoin legislation is there to combat de-dollarization, or at least should be there. I'll talk about it a little bit later because it's such a big topic. The idea mostly is right now we're all dependent in the crypto space on USDT, USDC. But it's eventually going to potentially change. I mean, if the US dollar is not the world reserve currency anymore, which right now it's on a path downward, then obviously it does not make sense to always hold our standards of crypto in US dollars anymore. So if it changes, then what too? Is it going to be denominated in gold? Is it all going to be denominated in a Bitcoin or what? It's so strange because we can't fathom, right? It's not happened for over 100 years. No US dollar as a reserve currency. But yeah, obviously anything that happens with regards to stablecoin legislation is also going to allow for more changes in that field to happen, but I'm just looking out for that. But yeah. Hey, you know what? That's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press that like button and subscribe to the channel for more crypto updates every single day. And yeah, that's about it.